I've done podcasts, and one time I forgot to hit record.
Okay, here now we're going live. Okay, here we go. So, all right, let me go back and do the show start again. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Hurdlers of Adversity, Inspirers and Maximizers of Pivotal Moments. Guess what? We're on late. Why? Because it was my fault. I forgot to hit the live button. Well, it wasn't going. I hit the live button and it didn't start. So I apologize, but thank you all for kind of being with us and staying with us and coming on. So I hope that everything is going well in your world. This is a show where you get to have these amazing dialogues with individuals who are just phenomenal at what they do. They've overcome some type of adversity and are now giving back to each and every one of us. Last month, we had on Olympians, we had on Ronaldo Skeets Nehemiah, we had on Apollo Ono, we had on Adeline Gray, the wrestler, and Michelle Farrell. And so she's, of course, the 1984 Olympic gymnast. And now we have on another amazing individual. So I'm going to just get to it because I know we don't have all the time in the world. And I got two other rock stars on that are going to help us out today as well. They're waiting in the wings. I see them off right now. So let's jump into this. And I want to just give you the intro and the bio of this amazing guest that we have on today. So we are about to enter another American history with another Super Bowl that is about to start. My guest today is an NFL agent, speaker, entrepreneur, husband, and dad. He has been registered as an NFL Player Association member, contract advisor, and negotiated more than $1 billion in contracts for more than 200 NFL players, athletes. Wow, that's a billion with a B. And throughout his tenure, he has learned the secret sauce that separates the Pro Bowlers from everyone else. And what he loves doing best is helping young men achieve their dreams that have direct impact on their families. Please welcome to the show the amazing Craig Domann.
John, thank you so much, man. You need to talk to my wife about all those things.
Absolutely. So we got this amazing Super Bowl about to happen. I'm gonna put you on the line, man. Is it gonna be the old guy or is it gonna be the young Turk that's gonna make it happen? Is Mahomes gonna catch a Brady? Let me know. What you thinking?
Well, here's the thing, John. I don't think we've had a Super Bowl that the fans have been more excited about than Super Bowl 55 because you do have the GOAT who's been in more Super Bowls, won more Super Bowls than any man on the planet. And then you've got the guy that's the sexy new guy on the block that's, going to a second consecutive Super Bowl, has a chance to win two Super Bowls in his first 4 years. Yes. So it's like, this is a really cool Super Bowl.
I love it. We were talking a little earlier. I think that, it's interesting to me that you have this dynamic that's happening. And both of these gentlemen are just masters at what they do. They're masters of their craft. You cannot deny the history of a Tom Brady, and you can also not deny the quickness and precision of a Mahomes who plays the game like a video game, right? So it's just that quick and fast. So I know we have some other individuals on here I want to get to that I want to bring on because I think they're going to add some life to the show before we kind of get into your question, because I really want to know how you got into everything. But first, I got to bring on some incredible individuals. We have on the amazing Reggie Rivas in the house.
What's happening? How are you guys?
Denver Bronco extraordinaire. And with Craig. And then also we have the amazing Carl Mecklenburg.
Hey.
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing?
Well, I'm well. This is a hard time of year for me, though. 3 Super Bowls, 3 losses for me. I can't help but identify with the losing team.
But hey, but you're there. You know, you got it. So who's going to lose?
Who's going to lose?
Since you're good at picking losers.
I think the GOAT is going to lose. Truthfully, I think Kansas City just has a better team. And it's not necessarily better individuals, but I think they've played together as a team much longer. They've been, their secondary, their pass rush is better. They're just a better team.
Gotcha. All right, Reggie, running back.
Yes. So listen, I have been a professional hater of the New England Patriots and Tom Brady for a long time, but I found myself rooting for him in the NFC Championship game to just be like, it is pretty amazing he's won 6 Super Bowls. And then to go to a brand new team and take that brand new team to the Super Bowl, I got to tip my hat. I mean, he's the GOAT, and it's pretty amazing. But now that he's made it there, it's like, hey, your resume is you've now appeared in a 10th Super Bowl. That's all you need. The GOAT is going to get beaten by the kid, the Billy Goat. We'll call him the Billy Goat, the kid. I just think that, and for Patrick Mahomes' resume, I think this is an important moment that even though Tom Brady is 43, he's still Tom Brady. It's going to be a duel between these 2 quarterbacks. And if you're Patrick Mahomes and you want to be the guy that you appear to be and you want to be in your career, taking down the GOAT in the Super Bowl in the biggest game of the year is an important line on your resume.
All right, so we got 2 on KC. What's going on, Craig? What are you thinking?
Well, here's the thing. I think if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, Tampa wins. When you're down 25 points to Atlanta and you find a way to win, I just feel like even though Patrick Mahomes last year won 3 postseason games, came from behind in each game, against Buffalo, they came from 9 points behind. He's got steel in his veins, but I would say that either Kansas City's going to blow him out, or if it's a nip and tuck game, Tom Brady's going to win.
All right. So there you got it from the experts in there. So I want to jump around a little bit because I know we don't have a lot of time. And I know that I've told Reggie and Carl, well, thanks for coming on, that we're going to just go be on there for 5 minutes. One of the things, Craig, that you have said, which I think is really strong and helping people like that are in the NFL in their transition moments. So I want you to just tee us up a little bit, Craig, on why it's so important for those that have played the game to think about their transitions on going from player now into kind of community and thinking about a secondary career.
Well, here's the thing. I just saw an interview by Joe Montana today that he did, and he was talking about Tom Brady, and his advice to Tom Brady was to keep playing. Play as long as you can, because he still had a year left on his contract. He wanted to spend more time with his family. He walked away from the Chiefs, and he wished he'd have played 1 more year. So here's the deal. If a professional athlete knows what his identity is, if he knows who he is, why he does what he does, and he sees himself as a man of God, as a husband, as a father, as these other roles, besides being an athlete, whenever he walks away, regardless of whether he's 32 or 42, whether he's kicked out the door and they say, hey, don't let the door hit your butt on the way out the door, or if he gets to have a ticker tape parade like Elway and some of these guys have. It's not a matter of when, it's where their identity is at that point in time. And I'm sure these guys on our show here today have all struggled with identity. Everybody does. Some guys struggle with it for 3 to 5 years after they're done. But if you know what your identity is and you're very clear about where your value comes from, and it's not because you're a pro athlete, that just so happens to be what you do, the transition is a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm. So we have Lynn Keir on right now. She's one of my favorites. She always comes on, always on the list. Lynn, if you're still on, if you're listening right now, we had the conversation, Chiefs or Tampa. We want to know what you think right now. I know you just said, hello, everyone. So thank you for being on. What are you thinking, Lynn? So we got that. Reggie, I know that you you were thinking about your transition and prepping kind of all along the way. Same kind of question to you as, you're in that seat. You think you may get out of the game. You may not. You may play another year. What's going on in your head as you try that transitional moment?
I'm just slightly worse position than Carl Mecklenburg, because Carl was a 12th round draft pick back when there were 12 rounds, and I went undrafted back when there were 12 rounds. And so we're kind of in the same cohort. But, for me, I didn't think I was going to play 1 year in the NFL. And so I remember in my rookie training camp, I already had a job with Procter & Gamble that was waiting for me. When I got cut, then I would go and take that job. And fortunately, I didn't get cut. I made the team. But the next year, I thought I was going to get cut. And so throughout my career, I was always working on my media career. I have a journalism degree. I was working radio, newspaper, and television while I was a player. I never really took for granted the relationships that I had. Craig, to your point, when you're an NFL player, everyone returns your phone call. Business people want to meet with you. Everyone's interested in you. And then the day that you're not, it's not like the door slams closed, but the door just doesn't open up as quickly as it used to. And so I was kind of aware that might happen. And so I tried to make as many good friendships as I could and then maintain them after I left football. And so it wasn't as traumatic for me as it is for a lot of players. But I still would say, losing your football identity is a big transition. And I've been playing football every year since I was 8 years old. This is a big part of who I am and how I identify myself. And when you lose that title, it takes a little while to kind of really settle into something new.
Absolutely. We're gonna talk with Reggie back with another full show, and I want to bring some more guests on for him to look at as well. Lynn says she's going with Chiefs. We got, oh my gosh, 4 on Chiefs. We got Craig's the only one that's going with Brady. So Carl, and I know you got to go, Reg. So thanks for being.
Well, I want to wait and hear Carl's answer though.
Okay. So Carl, here we go. Carl, the transition, the speaker.
Yeah, I disagree. Truthfully, I think that if you're the guy who opens the restaurant while you're still playing football, or you're the guy that's got other stuff going, like Rich Carlos selling cars on the side or whatever. It splits your mind. It splits your time. There is nothing more time consuming and focus consuming in my mind than being a professional football player. I mean, it's dark to dark, and you're at home studying stuff and trying to get ready for the next game. And there's just, to me, I wasn't going to worry about what happened to me when I was done with football until I was done with football. And there's time. I mean, especially in today's game, they're making enough money. There's time. They can, as long as they put some money away, they can then find out who they are and where they're going. For me, the thing I missed most from football was the adrenaline, the excitement, and I found that in speaking. As a professional speaker, like you, John. I mean, I've been doing that for 15 years, longer than I played pro football, and I love it. So that was my approach. My approach was, my focus is on tomorrow's game, and 10 years from now, whatever, that's fine. That'll take care of itself when I get there.
Awesome. I love it. I love the answers of the time in between, because you have some cash, you can kind of put that aside and kind of take your time during that time. But I think there's always that moment where we have to think about what's next whenever that moment does come. We're going to talk with Carl more extensively on that. So, gentlemen, thank you so much for being on. Real quick, I'm going to cut you all off, but I'm going to get both of you back on. I wanted to make sure, because I thought this was going to be really cool since we did have the Super Bowl coming up, and we have the Denver Broncos right up the street for me. I'm a Bears fan, so
thank you, John.
Thank you.
Take care, guys.
Okay, see you. And then we had Tom Chenault says, valid point to Carl. Absolutely was a valid point. Thanks, Tom, for being on. And then identity is real. Some goals for professionals after spending all that time in one's profession, adjusting is extremely difficult. Who am I? Right. And that is a great question. So answering on Lynn's question there, like, who am I? Do you find that a lot, Carl, Craig, with the individuals that you've been fortunate to kind of lead through their journeys?
Here's what I would say is that most of the guys know who they are. Most of the guys see themselves as football players. And to Carl's point, if you start thinking about plan B before you're out of the league, you'll be out of the league sooner. You know, NFL scouts, when they evaluate guys going to the combine, pre-draft process, that type of thing, they're always asking them, hey, you know, what are you going to do when football doesn't work out?
Yeah.
And the guy that says, I don't know, is the favorite prospect because that's somebody that's all in. So what there was, you need all 10 fingers and toes in. Don't start thinking about your MBA and your second career and all these types of things, because then you're a house divided. And while you're focused, you have to be all in, but you also have to understand that there's a detachment between what you do and who you are.
I see.
So that when it does end, the transition is easier.
Yeah, one of the things I've been sharing a lot. I like that answer. I see it. I shifted me a little bit on when I look at Olympic class athletes. Right, most are not making a lot of, you know, the Missy Franklins, the you know, Paulo Onos. You know, they're making some cash that they came out, and so they have that time window. But a lot of collegiate athletes don't really have that time window. Their careers pretty much ended at the NCAA or at the Olympic Games. Professional athletes are a little bit different because there will come a point when that transition will happen. What I was going to ask you in that transitional point, and why I kind of really wanted those two gentlemen to hear that conversation, is because I think that people, athletes in particular, get out of the game in one of three ways. They win all the accolades. They make it to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. They got the rings, and then they just kind of age out. The next group gets kind of they have the young guys come in, the young gals come in, and they're no longer as talented as the new crop. So they you know, through their expertise and their athleticism, they're out, or they get injured and they're out that way. When you look at a person, like you were saying, that goes into answering the questions from that coach that's coming out to watch them, and they're saying, then the person that says in the NFL, if you answer you're not all in, you know, you're going to kind of slink, go a little bit further on down the pole. How do you then, as what you've been doing in your career and helping these individuals, how do you counsel them to make it through so that they can have the most extended period or time possible?
Well, a lot of it goes down to pro mindset, and it's a multitude of things. But what you just described, John, was your exit strategy is not necessarily your own, but it's either injury, skill, or age.
Yep.
Okay. And there's another one for the NFL guys. It's you're making too much money, and they don't think you'll play for less, so they'd rather get rid of you than have you be a cancer in the locker room, being unhappy with your contract. But in terms of how do you counsel a young man who's going into the NFL, or maybe is a young player in the NFL, on how to be completely focused on his sport? It's really easy. If you want to maximize your financial opportunities during your lifetime, you actually have a higher degree of opportunity to make more money in your 20s than you do in your 40s. So why wouldn't you be focused on your profession in your 20s when you're there? So what happens to a lot of players, and this happens to everybody in America, everybody in the globe, how often do you find people that are at work thinking about home, and then they're at home, they're thinking about work? It's be in the moment.
Right.
It's be where your shoes are. So if you are blessed with the opportunity to be an NFL guy, be in the NFL. Do everything you can, like Carl said, 24/7, be all in. You got a month or two in the off season to take a little bit of a break, and then get back on the grind, get back on the treadmill, because there's so many people that would trade places with you just to play for one game, let alone one season.
I love that. Be where your shoes are. That in the moment. That's a great thing. You have a concept that I want to talk about, that whole pro mindset. You know, this whole philosophy that you have. Couple that with, why did you come into this world as an agent? I have a couple people that were asking some questions too. We'll get to them. Hopefully, we'll get to them because we have like about 10 minutes left here. One is Connie says, what is the % of athletes that make it to the professional level? So we'll get to that question, Connie, in a second here. And then Tom says, Rod Smith was the exception to that rule for sure. One of the most driven guys I know. He was working for financial education for himself, players, and kids throughout his great career. So we saw that kind of with Reggie as well. So he was also, went off. Now Reggie's one of the in the United States. He's one of the best auctioneers, and because he was working on that as well. So he made a great transition as well. So kind of going back to that question, first, why become an agent, as an attorney, and you want this world. And then, secondarily is that question we're just kind of teeing up is, oh man, I just forgot it. So that's what I say. I forgot.
I'll run with it, John. So here,
Yeah.
The reason why I became an agent is because I love sports.
Yeah.
And out of college, I was a CPA, and I met Tom Watson, the former PGA golfer's agent, and I loved what he got to do. He got to be involved in his client's career from a business standpoint, and Watson was beating Nicklaus and those guys back in the day, and it was exciting. Mm-hmm. Well, when you're playing sports, it's fun. It's fun to go to practice. It's fun, like Carl was saying, it's hard to replicate the adrenaline high you get from playing in a game on a Sunday in the NFL.
Right.
Well, I wasn't going to play in the NFL, so the closest thing I could get was representing guys that are in the NFL.
Yeah.
So the reason why I did it is because of my passion for sports, my passion for competition, and the opportunity to help people maximize their careers and accomplish their dreams.
Yeah.
And then one of the questions, just continuing, was how many guys make it in professional sports?
Yep.
Well, it's 1%. It's not very many. But the better question might be, how many guys have the ability and the skills and the God-given talent to play in the NFL or in professional sports that don't?
That don't, yeah. Mm.
And how many guys have marginal fringe skills, barely enough, and play for a decade or more?
And you talk about this in your mind. That was my second question, was the mindset, right? So you talk about the Pro Bowler, and you talk about the person that just kind of just is doesn't make the Pro Bowl, it's just kind of maybe a role player, or does very well, but just isn't there. You talk about the mindset around that. You have this whole kind of points philosophy. Unpack that for us.
Well, here's what I found is that when you're an agent, it's a business. And so you want to sign the best players you can. And so you talk to scouts, you watch games, you do your own evaluation, and then you listen to NFL scouts that are being paid a lot of money, and the teams are utilizing lots of resources to determine who can play and who can't. But every given year, in the first round, about half the guys are busts. They miss, yet they spend all their time, money, resources, film watching, all that stuff, interviewing, background checks, all that stuff, identifying those guys, and they still miss 50% of the time. That's too much. And then you have guys like Reggie and Rod that were undrafted free agents that the draft came and went. Every NFL team had multiple opportunities to pick those guys, and yet they did not select those guys in the draft because they didn't fit the profile. They didn't have the skill set. They didn't have the pedigree and all that type of stuff, yet they still built careers. And Rod may be still recognized as the best receiver in the history of the Broncos franchise.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. And yet he came out of a Division II school in Missouri and wasn't picked.
Right.
So Rod has the pro mindset in spades. And so go ahead.
Well, no, I was going to say, you made mention of, that mindset when you, and I was, what took me back to was an instance that I was with my cousin over in France. And we took the train over to England to watch a pro game. And he kind of okey doke me. So he got me into a room and said, "Hey, you're going to be the speaker for this group of individuals." I don't, and it was all a bunch of agents, right? And they were all saying, like you're saying, they all want kind of the franchise player who was in, MLS or soccer, or it was in football. It was different sports. And so I really know what to tell them. But one of the things I did say was to make that player a franchise by what their role might be in the community to that team. I wanted to kind of get your thoughts. Does that elevate an agent, or what makes a player attractive to an agent? Is it just the play skill, or is it other things outside of that?
Well, it's longevity. It's the opportunity to perform at a high level. I would say that if you planet for American football, they want a guy like Tom Brady. They want a guy that's going to do what Tom Brady's already done. You know, when a guy plays 2 decades, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for marketing, a lot of opportunity for him to make money, which, you know, we're business partners with our clients. So if they make more money, we make more money. But I think going back to the pro mindset, what I've identified from talking to a lot of front office people, coaches, GMs, former coaches, players, and former players, and even media types is I would ask them questions like, hey, why did this guy make it? You know, who was the guy that you played with that outplayed his talent? Why did this guy play 15 years when everybody thought he would play 15 minutes? And then why did this guy that they rolled the red carpet out for that was supposed to be the face of the franchise last like 2 minutes?
Yeah, right.
And the answers were always the 7 same things. May not be the same thing. They don't mention all 7, but they mention 2 or 3 of the 7 every single time. And so there's been a pattern of responses that I've constructed and said, this is what I call pro mindset. And that pro mindset is you have to have belief in yourself. And the belief has 2 parts. One is who you are, which is your identity. And the second thing is your confidence. And confidence is in what you do. It's your skills. So if you're a quarterback, how well do you throw the ball? If you're a receiver, how well do you catch the ball? Those types of things. Mm-hmm. The second component of pro mindset is your passion. Every single person that plays professional athletics, professional football in this case, they love football at some point in time in their life. Mm-hmm. But maybe the love went away when they were 15. Maybe the love went away in college. Maybe the love went away their second year in the league. The love can kind of fade. Can you resurrect it? Can you get it back? Because when other loves start competing with your main passion, that's the beginning of the end of your career. And that's what Carl was alluding to, that, hey, if you're not all in, you'll be all out because you can't be halfway in.
Right.
So what I tell clients is, hey, when you feel like, hey, you'd rather do something else than play football, that's gut check time. You might want to look at your finances. You might want to look at your career. You might want to look at your kids and look at your wife and decide, hey, do I have enough in the bank to move on? Because you're going to be moving on. And if you don't, and you want to keep playing, you better put those hobbies and other loves on the back burner or save them for the off season.
Yeah.
It can't be a priority during the season. And then the third component is what is their motivation? How big is their why? Tall trees need a bigger, larger root system. Otherwise, storm comes, blows them down.
Yeah.
Well, the higher you want to achieve in your career, the longer you want to play, the deeper root system you have to have, which is your motivation. Okay. So buying mama a house is a great motivator until you buy her house.
Right.
So it's better to have infinite motivators rather than finite motivators.
Yes.
And then the next thing is you've got to be a hard worker. Every high school coach, that's what they focus on, is getting bigger, faster, stronger, putting the time in the weight room, going to a speed coach, getting reps as, throwing, catching, tackling, whatever it might be. And then the next one is your lifestyle. That really kind of kicks in college and pro. Is your lifestyle consistent with your dreams? If you want to play professional football, is your lifestyle consistent with that? If it's not, it will end your professional football career. It's that simple. And that's girls, it's fun fixes, it's vacations, it's hobbies, it's nightclubs, it's all these things that maybe they're okay, but if they're conflicting with your dream and your sport, they're not okay. Maybe those are things you save until the off season. Okay. Sorry, guys. And then the next one is your power patterns.
The power what?
Power patterns. We all have patterns of behavior. We all have predisposed, pre-programmed responses to certain situations, whether it's dealing with a coach that's a yeller and a screamer, dealing with the media that's negative, that likes the rookie better than you, all these types of things. How do you deal with money? How do you deal with, do you let it get to your head? Do you get a big head because now you're making money and you're playing in the Pro Bowl? If you do, it's not going to be long before you're not playing in the Pro Bowl and you're not making any money because you're going to be out of the league.
Yeah.
And then the last thing is really your game. And how do you perform? Because NFL fans this Sunday at 4:00 Mountain Time are going to turn on the TV, watch the pregame festivities. And if you're a football fan, you're going to probably be pulling for one or the other. But if you're a Bucs fan or a Chiefs fan, you don't care what happened last week. You don't care what happened last offseason. You don't care what happened today. All you care about is what happens during those 3 hours. And candidly, for Patrick Mahomes, all you care about is what he does when he's on the field. And the same way with all 22 guys on the field at any given time is how do they perform? So there's a very strong possibility that the game on Sunday is decided by somebody other than Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes,
Sure.
because they either make a play or they don't make a play they were supposed to make.
Right.
And so I feel like there's 4 things that you have to be able to make a play. And some guys are going to be on the field for 80 snaps. So they're going to get 80 opportunities to do this. Some are only going to be on the field for 5 or 10 snaps. But you have to prepare for it. You have to practice for it. If you can't do it in practice, you're not doing it in practice. Like Kansas City, I promise you, will bring out a new wrinkle on offense, some fancy play that they saw in some game 25 years ago, as a shock factor for the Bucs. And given the fact that Tom Brady's thrown multiple touchdown passes to offensive linemen, and in his career with the Patriots, I'm making a prediction here that Bruce Arians is going to put in a trick play where they bring in an extra lineman and Tom Brady's going to attempt to throw a touchdown pass to somebody that the Chiefs aren't ready for. Okay. But preparation's critical.
Mm-hmm.
The third element of that is you've got to visualize it before it happens. Like Tom Brady, I promise, will visualize on Saturday night. He'll be the first one out on the field in the stadium on Sunday, walking the field. Everybody saw it on TV before they played the Packers. He's in street clothes. He's got his jams going. There's no other players on the field but Tom Brady. And they're doing the pregame, and they keep showing Tom Brady. And he's walking to all the different places on the field, taking in the wind, taking in the atmosphere, and visualizing himself making certain plays, certain passes during certain times of the game before the game even started. And then the last element of performing and making it happen and having a game face is we have a zillion thoughts a second. I don't know scientifically how many thoughts we can have in a second, but right before a free throw, right before a pass, whatever it might be, you have boom, boom, boom. You have a lot of thoughts. Are you breathing the oxygen of belief? Are you listening to that little positive voice that says you got it, you prepared for it, you deserve it, you're going to do it? Or the one over here, the negative one that says, you sure? You ready? Didn't work in practice? Do you believe in the play? That type of thing. And so those 4 things, preparing, practicing, visualizing, and then that last second harmony with positivism, you're married to one or the other. You can't split it. You're either married to your positive self or your negative self, and that can be the difference in whether you make the play or not.
Wow, well, that's brilliant. Thanks for breaking that down. I know you got to run, but I got to get my JR's 5 flash round on you before you do it. I had some more questions I want to do because we see some other history breaking things are happening. We have 2 amazing women that are in. Lori Locust and Mauro, I think her name is Devar, assistant strength coach and conditioning coach and defensive line coach for Tampa Bay. That they're going to be their first women to be on full staff. With the it's going to be. I wanted to ask you some questions around that, but I know you got time. My Power 5 for you, right? Before we get ready to go. Most memorable movie.
Most memorable movie. Probably Animal House way back in the day.
Animal House, John Belushi. Beach or the mountains?
Beach.
Beach, all right. Location you proposed to your wife?
Her hometown.
Her hometown. Okay. Favorite car you no longer own?
72 Camaro.
Oh, nice. Like it.
Yeah.
John Belushi once again. Animal House. So who should be on my show next?
The MVP of the Super Bowl.
Yeah. All right. Let's call him up. All right. That'll be Mahomes, like I say.
Maybe.
Maybe. I'm just teasing. I really thank you for being on today. And I want to apologize once again because I didn't hit the start button, or it didn't go when I first did it. So we had like 5 to 10 minutes worth of conversation that we just didn't get to. So I apologize for that. But you more than made up for it with those with your 7 points. I want to recap them too with the audience. I know you have to run, but thank you so much for being on. What an amazing insights that you've had, and as we talk about agency and NFL Super Bowls coming up, of course, 55. So I really do appreciate you being on.
Thank you very much, John. Have an awesome day, man.
All right, man. Thanks, bye. And that, ladies and gentlemen, the amazing Craig Domann. Wow. Just can you believe all the knowledge that you got? And then we had cameos by Carl Mecklenburg, Denver Bronco, Reggie Rivers, Denver Broncos. That was just awesome. So one of the things I think I put down the 7 points that Craig was making: belief in self. Passion. I think I need my glasses because I can't see my own notes here. Belief in self. We have that. We have passion. Love. Love can get you so far, but how do you get it back once it's gone? What's the motivator? What's motivating you to work? You got to work hard. Lifestyle is great because some people's lifestyle is not conducive to winning championships. And then power patterns to have, and how do you perform? Make a play, being prepared, practice, visualize it in harmony with oneself to make sure that you are doing it on all the time. All right. So thank you all so much for being on. It's been a great show. I can apologize for thought we were recording, we weren't doing it, but now we are back live, and I wanted to just tease up who is coming up for you next. So we're in Black History Month, and we had some amazing individuals that we have gotten on the show, and I think next week you're going to really love this other individual as well. On the next week's show, headed into after Super Bowl, we have TEDx speaker on resilience and mindset, the founder of GrowFlow community, Miss Karen Allen, and Karen's going to help us understand the mindset needed to grow again by retraining the brain to reframe negative thinking to one of overcoming any challenge. Can you kind of see the theme in February that's going on here? We just talked to Craig about mindset. We're talking to Karen coming up next week about mindset. So pick up all these past shows. You're going to hear a little bit about that too. You can watch them on YouTube. You can watch them on the Facebook page, and you can watch them right here on LinkedIn. The big announcement we have, April Holmes and I, we're going to get ready. I think we're going to go on Monday on Clubhouse. So follow us on Clubhouse. April Holmes, the Paralympic gold medalist, first woman sponsored by the Michael Jordan brand, the Jumpman brand. And we're going to be on Clubhouse Monday evenings talking about overcoming adversity and how we train for our transitions. More information about that show coming up, so continue to stay tuned. And finally, remember that you are the inspirations. Inspirations are catalysts to motivation. Motivation in turn causes actions. Actions therefore lead us to transformational results. And these results, they re-inspire us or allow someone else that's watching the process to catch the vision. Have a great day. Continue to inspire your world out there, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.